In Victoria, they decided to send Ballarat just a couple of days after coming out of lockdown back into lockdown because of 4 cases.
If you wait a couple of weeks to be proven wrong or right, if you hesitate, then you finish up with many, many more cases, and then that's what potentially puts at risk the status of all of regional Victoria.
The people watching us in Ballarat right now, I know it is hardcore super safe Labor territory. Why would you vote for these people at the election next year? They've put you in and out of lockdown, regardless of whether there was 0 cases for months and months or 4 cases. Now, all of those businesses that got the chance to come out of lockdown, who bought all that stuff, now have to throw it all out for another couple of weeks, let alone the power lines they're going to put over the top to make sure people in wokey bits of Melbourne feel better about renewable energy. Why vote for these people? Jeff Kennett lost the premiership in Victoria because of regional Victoria. May I hope Daniel Andrews gets a shock from regional Victoria, who how many times can he screw you over before eventually this guy's going to have an electoral problem, but we'll wait and see. But there's a bigger thing I want to call bullshit on, which is that Daniel Andrews is a repeated liar. Big claim, but let me explain. If you were watching Channel 7 in Melbourne tonight, you would have seen this.
Premier defiant in the face of a push to ease Melbourne restrictions now.
And you would have seen this grab on the news in other places.
Urging people to open up everything against advice as early as tonight. That'll just mean more and more people in their 40s and their 30s, and indeed younger, will finish up in hospital gravely ill.
But here's the thing. No one is suggesting that. No one is suggesting let it rip. But he keeps saying this over and over again. And by the way, his response that led to the 6 p.m. news thing that you saw on Channel 7 tonight, seen by hundreds of thousands of people in Melbourne, was in relation to this question that wasn't even about let it rip.
Premier Martin Blight, who died from COVID, was meant to be vaccinated 2 days after his death. He'd had that appointment for 5 weeks, made it at the first opportunity he could. Have we let him down?
And then he just pretends that this is about some sort of crazy anti-vaxxer, let it rip, COVID's not a real thing. And then the same journalists who saw that it was a BS answer to a question that wasn't about that subject then reported as news at 6 p.m. And it's a tactic that he has used many, many, many times. It's arguing with a straw man, arguing against someone who doesn't exist, who's never made this suggestion.
The notion that we can just let it all run, if we just open up, let it rip, then we will have a massive problem pretending it's over, letting it rip, as it were. That'll come with its own price too. There are some in the community who thinks, oh, well, just let it rip.
That's why he's a liar, because he just changes the subject, yet they report it that way anyway. And it's all a distraction. Because Victoria has gone from being one of the front runners when it comes to the vaccine rollout to now dead last. Worse than the people who are dragging their feet in the hopes they can take it to the next federal election in Queensland and Western Australia. Victoria will hit 70% last in the country, November 16. That's worse than a couple of days ago. December the 9th for 80%.